The last thing she said before slamming the door was, "Stop interfering in my life." The words echoed in the hallway long after her footsteps faded down the apartment stairs. I stood there frozen, keys still in my hand, staring at the family photo on the wall where she was smiling, pregnant, pretending everything was fine. That night, with shaking hands and a heart full of fear, I called the lawyer and froze the trust fund. I told myself it was for her own good. I had no idea that just days later, my phone would ring from a hospital, and everything I believed about control, love, and protection would collapse in a single sentence. I'm not a villain, even though it might sound like it. I'm a father who lost his wife too early and raised his daughter, Emily, as carefully as a man can raise a child alone. We live in Ontario, in a quiet town where everyone knows your name and your mistakes. Emily grew up smart, stubborn, and fiercely independent, just like her mother. When she got into university in Toronto, I was proud and terrified. When she fell in love, I smiled and kept my worries to myself. But when she got pregnant and the father disappeared, something in me broke. The trust fund was set up by Emily's grandparents. It was meant to help her after 30, or in emergencies, with safeguards. When Emily told me she wanted full access to it too, start fresh, alarms went off in my head. She talked about moving, about doing everything on her own, about how she didn't need advice anymore. Every conversation turned into an argument. I tried to help. I tried to ask questions. She heard judgment. She heard control. That's when she said it. Stop interfering. Freezing the fund felt like the only way I could slow her down, make her think, protect her and the baby. But protection, when mixed with fear, can look a lot like punishment. Emily didn't see a concerned father. She saw a man using money to control her life. She stopped answering my calls. Weeks passed. I told myself she needed space, that she'd come around. I didn't sleep much. Then the hospital called. "Sir, your daughter has gone into labor," the nurse said calmly. "There are complications, and we need a decision maker on file." My heart dropped to my stomach. I drove through red lights, snow blurring my vision, rehearsing apologies I didn't know if I'd get to say. At the hospital, the smell of disinfectant and the sound of rushed footsteps filled me with dread. Emily was pale, exhausted, and furious when she saw me. She turned her face to the wall. The doctor explained that the baby was in distress and they might need an emergency procedure. They asked about insurance, about support, about next steps. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about money. This wasn't about interference. This was about being there. I told the doctor to do whatever was necessary. I told the nurse I would handle everything. I sat by Emily's bed and spoke softly, even though she didn't look at me. I told her I was scared. I told her I was sorry. I told her I froze the trust fund because I was afraid of losing her, not because I wanted to control her. My voice cracked when I said I didn't know how to be a good father anymore, but I wanted to learn. Hours later, her daughter was born. Small, fragile, and perfect. When the nurse placed the baby in Emily's arms, something shifted. Tears streamed down Emily's face, and for the first time in months, she reached for my hand. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. In the days that followed, we talked. Real talks. Painful ones. Emily told me how alone she felt, how every piece of advice felt like a reminder that people didn't trust her. I told her how helpless I felt watching her struggle, how money felt like the only tool I had left. We both realized we'd been speaking from fear instead of love. I unfroze the trust fund, but this time, with conditions we agreed on together. Financial counseling, a plan, support, not control. Emily stayed with me for a while, and late at night, I'd hear her humming to the baby in the next room. Each sound felt like forgiveness. What I learned is something I wish more parents understood. Love isn't proven by how tightly you hold on, but by how willing you are to listen and let go when it matters. Interfering feels like caring when you're scared, but trust is what actually saves people. Now, when I hold my granddaughter and she wraps her tiny fingers around mine, I think about that moment in the hallway when Emily told me to stop interfering. She wasn't asking me to disappear. She was asking me to change. And sometimes, it takes a frozen bank account, a hospital call, and a brand new life entering the world to finally understand what someone you love has been trying to say all along.